It's the one and only 5D Transformations, and I'm back. In this video, I'm going to talk about MBTI, one of the most powerful sciences that was graced and given to us, in this day and age. Uh, let's talk about the fact that MBTI reveals a very powerful secret. This is why MBTI means so much more to me than just some pop psychology test. MBTI is one of the greatest proofs when we talk about universal laws. When we talk about the universal laws, we're talking about the law of duality, right? The law of polarity, really. It's called the law of polarity, right? And if you notice, MBTI, it operates off the principle of the law of polarity, the idea of yin and yang. In order for you to follow MBTI, if you're somebody that's just an atheist or you just don't believe in any kind of deeper esoteric knowledge, what people don't realize is if you study MBTI, you're studying esoteric knowledge. See, Carl Jung was an astrologist. He worked with astrologists in order to assist in creating MBTI. But most people will tell you astrology is pop psychology and pop science as well. You got to understand, even astrology operates off of the principle of polarity, because if there's 12 signs, that makes it 6 and 6, right? So if you break that down, they operate in polarities. It's all balance. And my whole point is MBTI is all about balance. You look at the law of rhythm. There's a rhythm to our psychology. We lean towards certain strengths and we veer away from, we are weaker in other areas. If one person is great at this, then they're going to be a little bit not as good at the other thing. It reveals to us that our psychology, even though scientists will tell you it's the brain and the physics and the brain matter, regardless of whatever they want to, emphasize when it comes to the brain, for some reason, whatever we're projecting out of the brain operates off the principles of polarity. But it's not just it's not just our brain. It's everything we're perceiving in the outside world. If you wake up in the morning, you'll see the sun. If you go to sleep at night, you see the moon. You don't see a third thing that happens every day. You might see other planets every now and then, but the sun and the moon operate with what's that, yin and yang, the law of gender. That's another one of the 7 universal laws. And if you look at MBTI, you have masculine functions, you have feminine functions in terms of how they operate. Your introverted functions is the yin, it's the feminine energy. It's the base. And then the masculine energy, that's the yang, it goes out. That's our extroverted. So some people are introverted, some people are extroverted. Some people fall in the middle, right? When we talk about the middle, you got the law of rhythm, right? The goal is to stay balanced. You know what I mean? The law of vibration, extroverted sensors, they want to experience vibratory experiences in the external world. Extroverted intuitives want to experience vibrant ideas. But even if you look at the principles of physics, the object of motion stays in motion. What you realize is the principles of science all fall into the universal laws, and MBTI connects with that. So for all of you that's thinking this is some pop psychology, what you'll realize is it's actually a stronger science, in my opinion, than some of our physical sciences. Because when you look at this, it operates on a very indisputable level. What I mean is you can't argue the fact that some people are introverted, some people are extroverted. You can't argue that. It's just a fact. It's just what it is. You know what I mean? Now, in terms of the degree of what we consider an introvert versus extrovert, and all of that is relative, but then that brings up another universal law, the law of relativity, right? Everything is relative, or, correspondence, the law of correspondence. Everything kind of connects. So I don't want to go too far into the universal laws because that's another thing, but I do recommend you look that up. Look up the 7 universal laws. What you'll find is they're indisputable. They're one of the only things on this planet that I found that nobody can debate or argue or disprove, because it's ancient science, and MBTI is a gift because it helps us understand our psychology, but it helps us understand our psychology because it's based on these universal principles that are embedded into the basis of reality. So while you're studying the psychology and understanding of your mind, keep in mind, I got a bachelor's degree in sociology, concentration psychology. So I studied this in school. You know what I mean? I studied this at a highly regarded state university. And I'll tell you one thing, MBTI taught me more about the mind than any psychology or sociology class I've ever taken. And that's by far. It's not even close. To this day, I shock people when I type their entire family without them even having to tell me their type. I just can tell, and they go, "How did you know that?" And I just break down what the type does, and their mind is blown. I mean, I've gotten families to work with me because I typed the entire family, and they're like, "I got to know this." You know, I've done coaching for, you know, brothers, the sister, the cousin, the aunt. And then when I do life coaching, I involve MBTI in it. So I'm not just going to work with you and just start telling you stuff from my perspective. I'm going to work with you and figure out we figure out your personality type so that I can give you information that's geared towards assisting your personality type. Some people work better learning on their own. Others operate a lot quicker and move faster working with somebody like myself who's a specialist to help them move ahead. Regardless, in this day and age, you got to understand your personality type and those around you. You got to understand MBTI right now because we're in a new climate. We're in a climate where, you know, you got to be extremely sharp. You got to know how to operate with people. If you're struggling with people, I guarantee it's because it's something you don't know that if you understood MBTI, you can fix that problem right away. MBTI is one of the most amazing social tools to help somebody understand what they need to do to better themselves. What's your weakness? What can you do to improve your weakness? Right? So that's my message right now, right? Is this. There's a balance to MBTI. And all of the types work together to keep one another in check. There's a divine balance. Everyone has a different personality type to counter the other type so that everyone can stay honest. Does that happen? You know, we try our best, but there are leaks. But you got to admit, the universe did a pretty good job balancing us all out psychologically, you know. And so that's what the science is about. So I just want to give a shout out to Carl Jung. Just want to give a shout out to the Myers-Briggs sisters. Or I believe one was Myers and one was Briggs. And that like in terms of their last name or something like that. But shout out to them. And then shout out to all of us who's continuing to push the science forward. I talk about a lot of different things on the channel, but I always got to bring it back to MBTI. And that's why I dropped the MBTI Magic course, which is available now, where we talk about MBTI, the origin, the spiritual aspect of it, how it connects with the 4 elements, all the different types description. I got videos showing you celebrities that are talking and doing different expressions and breaking down their types. And then we break down their hidden gift and their superpower. So there you go. I mean, come on now. What else do you need? You know, so if you're interested, go check out the Patreon, join the Pyramidian program, $50 a month. You get access to all my courses. I got all new videos dropping on there in terms of my Pyramidian coaching. It's designed to make you a monster in the game of life, a god in human form. If that offended you, that's too bad. It's the one and only 5D Transformations. I'll see you all in the next video. Peace.